Kind of a nice balance though, because probably there's a point where maybe you're tired of being in front of the camera, so you get to go be behind it again too, right? So,
yeah. People are awkward in pictures if you don't have the professional training like models.
People are awkward, really?
Sometimes I was the most athletic one in my family other than my brother, so I can actually feel confident about myself and actually feel pretty for once instead of walking around just sweats all the time. So maybe reach out if you want to be with Ford Modeling. Maybe reach out on Instagram to one of the models saying, hey, how did you get started? And I know that's kind of scary at first. If someone makes me like, I used to be the type of person that used to be a people pleaser. I want to please everyone. But in the reality, you can't. And so, I would highly suggest models if you're experiencing any depression, any suicidal thoughts, like ask for help.
Influencer Insight shares the battles, stories, successes of models, influencers, and entrepreneurs as they find the balance of being influential leaders today while creating long-lasting impact for the future. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another session of Influencer Insights, where I have Micayla Moody from Johnson City, Tennessee. And she just informed me that that was the song that they have on the Wagon Wheel country music song. So that's kind of cool. It's a little bit of a catchback connection to that song and to where she's from in the world. She's currently in Nashville. She's out at a fashion show this week. She was telling me before we jumped on that she was a photographer who got into modeling afterwards. So that's kind of a cool transition, and it's really good to, if you could check out Micayla's Instagram, you'll find a lot of really cool shots. So good to have you on, Micayla, and sharing that story and how that all came together for you. So welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself. What was growing up like for Micayla? Where did you come from in the world, and how did you get into, we'll say, photography first?
So I'm Micayla. I grew up in little Johnson City, Tennessee. I'm number 4 out of 5 kids in my family. So yeah, so that was a lot. There's 4 girls and a boy. The boy's right in the middle. So he had the best of both worlds. And so I was very athletic, very involved in church growing up. I played sports. I did cross country and track all the way up through college. And because there's a huge age gap in my family, my brother was in college when I was like in middle school. And so he was going to school for photography and art. So I was always the test dummy with posing for assignments. So that's how I kind of got into photography.
Cool.
So that was kind of cool. And so I was always told I had an eye for photography, got into it when COVID hit because you could social distance yourself enough to be able to do it. And I can still wear a mask. And so that was nice because I'm a social butterfly. So when COVID hit, I was like, man, I really have to stay inside. Like I was not about that. So that's how I kind of got into photography. Is I had a brother that was a photographer. I was always playing around with him. I was always intrigued about how he was editing for school. So that was very fun for me to do that. And so that's how I kind of was intrigued with photography. And then I was joined a photography club that's local here in East Tennessee. And so I joined a part of that just because I wanted to be able to network and learn from other photographers. Mm-hmm. And so I became part of this group in the area. And they always scheduled free photo shoots for people, different themes. I know they just did a cowboy theme shoot this past weekend.
Cool.
And so we could all learn if people were new, advanced photographers. We have people that are pageant photographers, newborn photographers. So we all could learn together. And if we had issues with editing, we would have people that were good at editing. And then I slowly transitioned into modeling because when I first started, we had like 20 models. Then over time, it dwindled down to just me and another female.
Models, join us on Facebook in our group where we've got all kinds of support and training you need to become a better model today. Check the link in the description.
And so I would get voluntold saying, hey, stand in front of the camera. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And so I took classes and learned how to pose. And so that's kind of my background of life in general, modeling, sports. What
kind of camera did you start with photography? I'm kind of curious about this.
I started with a Nikon D6. It was a hand-me-down. Nice. And then I transitioned. Now I have a Canon RP. I got that because my camera was a hand-me-down. I was noticing my images weren't turning out as well because the body was getting old, getting dust collected, and it was to fix it. It was going to be about the cost of buying a new camera.
Yeah.
So luckily at the time I had a mentorship with a couple that were well-known photographers in the area. I had reached out to them about modeling for me, and so they taught me their camera, and I fell in love with it. So that's how I kind of transitioned.
Nice.
Between the two. So it's been fun learning photography.
Yeah, for sure. No, cool. What did you get to do any with your photography skills now? Did you get to do any big shoots that way, or kind of everything was for fun, or how did that go? Did you get paid some gigs in between there? Or?
I got paid. So I started out with like friends and family.
Cool.
To get exposure, because people, when you are looking for a photographer, like models, they're always like, well, let me see your pictures. You have experience. Well, I didn't have anything. So I was offering friends and family. I had friends getting married, people having babies. And so I was like, can I do them for free so I could just build up my portfolio? Nice. And then as I had enough experience, I started charging, and I had multiple niches. I was not just a newborn photographer. I got into weddings after I did a style shoot, and then by using those pictures, I was able to like second shoot weddings. And so had a wide range of photography skills.
Nice. Well, that kind of works good, because you probably had some equipment changes you wanted to make, and so stretching your abilities probably is a really, really helpful thing, right?
Yes.
So, so with the photography, I mean, you've kind of found a network there yourself, and you kind of got going on it. What do you still do some of that, some photography yet now too, or what kind of work do you like to do?
I still do it. My other half is also a photographer, and so
cool.
we kind of tag team. I do work in a setting to where I can network with people to be like, hey, let's do a photo shoot. Like I said, I have friends that are pregnant. So we tag team it. So I do now that I'm into modeling, have done a little bit less of shooting.
Yeah.
And so it's just once in a blue moon, people will reach out, or someone will refer me saying, hey, Micayla did my pictures 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of nice. I'm this summer hoping to pick up more on photography and doing that and getting more paid gigs with that. So
it's kind of a nice balance though, because probably there's a point where maybe you're tired of being in front of the camera, so you get to go be behind it again too, right?
So this was nice. And so part of the reason why I transitioned, because all the models I had, like I was always bad about trying to pose people. Pinterest is my best friend, so I was spending half of the sessions showing them Pinterest, pose like this. So that was eating up the session. So people are awkward in pictures if you don't have the professional training like models.
People are awkward, really?
Sometimes they're like we're like, or when you get home and their hands are like out of whack, and then you have to go in and edit. And so I did have a few girls that were professional model that when they would hear the clip would just naturally move. They're like, I wish I knew how to do that and knew how to explain it to when I do my sessions. I can naturally just pose for them and not eat up half the session. So that's why I kind of got into modeling, is just being able to explain and direct from
what you're supposed to do.
Photographer side, than having to
click in the camera is like 70% of the process, right? But the last 30% is getting people to do what you need them to do too, right? So so cool. And this has all happened since COVID, kind of thing that you've Okay, wow. So you did the photography a year or two kind of thing, and then you started getting into the modeling. What was the first kind of thing that brought you into the modeling piece? Did you have a gig, or did somebody say, hey, you should do this? Or
so my photography club that I help manage, we do a lot of like fashion shows. And so there was a local agency in the area that just had started. I had kind of heard of them beforehand because I did like a giveaway for one of their models that they could win.
Okay.
And so I kind of had a connection there, but then I did my first fashion photography show with John City Modeling. And I was just intrigued with how things flowed, and the agency was recruiting models. So I decided, hey, this might be a good starting point to be able to funnel into a bigger, like Elite, Ford, other bigger agencies. So I needed strong foundation. And so that's how I got started. I was doing this fashion show with my photography club, and that's what kind of intrigued me, because at the end of the show she's like, we're looking to sign models on. If you're interested, let us know. So I was like, let's go, let's do it. And so me and one of my good friends, who was one of the girls, that it was just me and her at photo shoots with the photography club, I was like, hey, if you sign up, I'll sign up, so we can do it as a team. So it's not like I'm just awkwardly like sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? So I had a friend to talk to. So
no, that's cool. What kind of fashion shows have you gotten that done? Is everything pretty close there? Do you get to travel some?
So I started with 2 local fashion shows through my agency they host, and then at the last one I did last year, I made a connection with a big designer that she's based in Nashville but hosts fashion shows up in New York. And so I was able to connect with her, and I said, hey, I would love to model in New York, because that's one of like the big 5 big deals to go to. And so I was able to network with her over the time last year of being able to walk. So I signed to walk for her in February of this year and absolutely fell in love with it. Like that was my big first like to do because there was bigger scouts. You had agencies in New York come in and 8 actor agencies there. So that was I was nervous because that was my big first real out of the area show.
Sure.
And so I was asking all the models, like, hey, what am I supposed to do? Where's my hands? Because I had never been on a big stage before. I just been at a local venue, like a wedding venue in Johnson City. So it wasn't like, it was just friends and family. It wasn't like there was recruiters there. Totally. And then now Nashville on Sunday, that's how I kind of, this is kind of my second big show. Planning on doing Miami Swim all week next year. Doing pairs next year. So it's all about networking and getting to know people and networking with others.
So when you're learning how to network, and this is always an interesting thing for people to, because they're like, where do I get started? Like, how do I figure that out? So you obviously had your photography group, which kind of helped a little bit, but what are some other ways that you've kind of been able to develop some of those connections?
So I also just finished doing John Casablanca, which is like a modeling acting agency. So I was able, because I have social media, I found them through social media.
Yeah.
Where I had just walked in New York, I had asked her, saying, hey, what do I do? Who do I go through? And just being out and socializing with people, going to local events and finding local fashion shows you can walk in and or like business events for photographers and models. Join groups on Facebook. I found a lot of castings through Facebook. Like Facebook is a good spot to start with.
Yeah, crazy.
And then support groups, like find support groups on whatever platform you're on, and just maybe reach out if you want to be with Ford Modeling. Maybe reach out on Instagram to one of the models saying, hey, how did you get started? I know that's kind of scary at first. It was scary for me to try to reach out to models.
Sure.
Hey, what are the do's and don'ts of getting into the industry and learn and practice? That's the key. Practice. Like you don't overnight just, I'm going to wake up and walk in Paris or walk in New York. So it's a learning curve. It takes a lot of no's before you get that one yes to sit down and talk to people. So
yeah. Well, that's fair though too, and I think that's a good reminder because a lot of people, they go through, in any kind of entrepreneurial thing, you got to ask a lot of people the same question, and probably most of the time it's going to be a no, right? So it's probably important just to not get discouraged right when that comes in. So cool. So do you have any, like, you've done lots of fashion shows, so you're probably good at the runway walk, which I'm working on slowly, surely. Someday it'll be better. But what about have you done some shoots? Have you done some unique locations?
Yeah. So here in East Tennessee it has a lot of mountains. So there's always cool little like waterfalls. And so my favorite spot is the Blue Hole, which is on the outskirts of Johnson City. And so it has 3 different cascades of falls. And so I was able to learn through my photography club the location. And so I fell in love with it, and that's like my go-to. And then there's a lot of spots downtown in Johnson City because they're trying to revamp downtown to kind of be like, I don't know if anyone has heard of Asheville, North Carolina. Asheville is like artsy fartsy district, and so they're trying to vamp it up to that. It's also known as Chicago in Johnson City because Al Capone came through, and so they're just revamping. So there's a lot of cool, like there's a spot I always used to take my models to in a little alleyway. It has graffiti, so if you want more like the cool little dark shoots, you could do that. You have a park downtown that if you want an open field. So it's kind of cool to have multiple locations. You can do mountains, you can do water, you can do alleyways, we have buildings you can go in, Airbnbs if you want to do more. Depending on what genre of modeling you want to do, there's always a lot of options.
Yeah. If somebody was going to get started in a shoot to location, what's something, or maybe they're just getting started, what's something they should definitely try and add to their portfolio?
I would recommend trying to do like a urban downtown shoot. Like that's because you can do different things with it. You can dress up, you can dress down, you can do really about anything with a downtown shoot because you can do like there's train tracks. Sometimes you can't always post train track pictures because if it's active you can get in trouble. And so I think downtown, depending on where you're at, has like I said, the alleyways you can, if you want to do like a product shoot, we have a lot of local boutiques that you can do, a lot of restaurants that you can network with. So I would say communicate with your local restaurants or do boutiques in the area and or like maybe do like high school, like maybe you could do like a track or something if you're more into the sports aspect of modeling. Go to your track and find a photographer. You can find them in groups. Luckily, I've been blessed. I was a photographer beforehand, so I kind of already knew people that I could use instead of having to spend a bunch of money on photographers I didn't know.
Right. So, no, that's some good tips there. Right. I think a lot of people, it's like they want to get started with something, but they're got some ideas and where's the best place. So that'll definitely be something to help out. So
find a local photography group in your area. And then maybe do like Instagram, maybe find a location and say, you live in Nashville, downtown Nashville. Sometimes there's prime spots and they'll tag the location. You can see sometimes there'll be photographers that post and pin that location and maybe reach out to them saying, hey, I saw you did a photo shoot downtown Nashville.
Right.
Can I book a session with you? I'm trying to get into modeling. I need a portfolio. The photographers, if they're good, will be able to help pose and build your portfolio up.
Yeah, no, that's a good tip. Yeah, again, that's kind of maybe a more technology or technological way of doing it, but that's still that networking piece you're talking about, right?
If you don't have like social media or anything like that, I would say if there's fresh markets or anything, like just walk around. There's always people walking around with cameras. So you can be like, hey, I see you got a camera, and kind of strike up a conversation. That's kind of how I got into my photography group is downtown, kind of taking pictures out of the fresh market, like farmers market. For my friend had a booth. She makes like organic, like homemade soaps, things that are homemade that are not like in store brands. So being like a product for her, and I happened to be walking around, and the photography club was there doing like a photography contest walk, and so they gave me a business card just saying, hey, so just being out and about with the camera, being out and about helped me a lot, because that's kind of how I got into it. Was I was out there with my camera. So
right, that's how you got to start, no matter what the angle is for you or whatever, right? But get out there and get your name out there and talk to whoever you can. So what's I like this question because it's just kind of fun, but what's a dream brand collaboration or somebody you'd like to work with as a model?
So I'm big into fitness, so I would love to collaborate with Nike, so that's my dream, because I always love Nike, so I would ideally love to work with them. If it's more of like the fashion side of fitness, I would love to work with like Gucci or any of like the big name purse line.
No, those are sometimes they seem like a big thing to hit, and often there's probably some different brands that you're going to work along the way that will get you the experience towards there. But if you kind of know where you want it to go, I think that's a big piece of it too, is like what direction are you headed in, right? So how do you build your portfolio around that? So trying to think, what do you like about being a model? Why did you, obviously you did a shoot or two and you're like, this is pretty good, but why do you like to do? Why do you continue to?
Because with me, like I said, I did sports growing up, so I really was the more of the tomboy, and so I get so jealous of all the girls that were in pageants, just because I never felt confident enough to enter in a pageant or do modeling really grown up. And so when I got into college and had more time I wasn't required to go to practice. I could dress up and feel pretty, because all females want to dress up and be called pretty. And so it made me want, because modeling, how I see like Halle Berry or Gigi and all them, I always like, oh, that's so cool. I used to always watch the Victoria's Secret runway shows, and so I was like, man, they have a cool job. They get these big name brands, and I was like, oh, that would be cool one day to be on like a poster or be on like TV. So that's what kind of motivated me, was that would be like a fun hobby now that I'm getting into it as a career now.
Nice. Have you had any of those moments where you saw yourself posted somewhere or even on Instagram where you're kind of like, whoa, I really did that?
Yeah, so where I modeled with a local agency, they had different boutiques show up, and so she actually used one of my pictures on her Instagram. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And also just recently I was published in 2 magazines from where I walked in New York. So that was really cool. I was in the top 24, and then I just got published for the second one of like the top 15 in the US. So that was cool, because I made all those connections in New York. So that was kind of really cool to kind of see. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually in a magazine. Like, that's crazy. And it's so cool. I do work in healthcare. And so all my little old people were like, when are you leaving for Nashville? When are you going to New York? Like, so they all got excited at all the pictures. So that made me feel good, because I'm helping them. And they're boosting my confidence of, oh, you look so pretty. And then where I have a lot of friends, I go hang out quite a bit. And so when they all saw the pictures, because I'm usually in workout clothes, but they're not used to seeing me all dolled up. Right. And so when they saw the pictures, their mouths just dropped. They're like,
who's that?
Who? Like, you can put makeup on and actually dress up and not be in sweats and a hoodie. Yeah, and look like a boy. Like, so that's always confident to get those pictures back and feel confident about myself, just because I was always out running around with all the boys. I had a brother. I was the most athletic one in my family other than my brother. So he played football. So I was out there throwing footballs with him. And so riding dirt bikes. And so it was kind of cool to be able to get out of and form into a young lady. And so it's kind of cool to be able to see, oh, I can actually feel confident about myself and actually felt pretty for once instead of walking around just sweats all the time. So
very different world in fashion life than
it really is. It's this huge different ends. I'm in the gym lifting, and then the next day I'm getting all dressed up, walking. I'm like, people are like, how do you go from one to, I was like, I just do it. I can have both worlds. So
was there anything that kind of surprised you about seeing that it's kind of a new world probably from where you came from? What were some things that you saw that you didn't expect maybe in it?
That I saw a lot of comparison of looks, like, oh, I'm not that size, or I'm not tall enough, or especially with runway walks with fashion shows, when I fashion, oh, my walk's not as good. The first show I ever did, I walked, because I'm a gym rat, I walked like I had never wore heels. The only time I wore heels was my sister's wedding. And it took me 2 years to figure out how to walk in heels. And so it was just different to kind of see the progression of how far along I've come. Like, it shocked me, like, how much muscle memory it takes to be able to walk down in heels. And I never thought that people on TV make it look easy. I'm just trying and walking down. And so that was a big wake up call for me, was just, I was not expecting that, like, because between my first show to New York, my agent I'm with right now was like, you have improved so much, because you were walking all funky to now you're confident and you know you're good and your walk is 10 times better, because you kind of know, and because I've practiced and I put a lot of work into it, and my little patients I work are like, let me see you walk, let me see you strut that. So it's kind of cool to have that confidence and having that support no matter where I go, of having a good group. And that's another thing I think for new models, is making sure you surround yourself with people that are going to support you and not tell you, oh, you can't ever do that, you can't make money. It takes time to make money. Like, you have to learn and pay to get experience to be able to be the next big star. So
that's right. Work in before the workout, right? So
yep.
What did you go to New York for? Like, how many shows, I guess? Was it once or twice?
I just went once. They would like for me to come in September, but just because of my work schedule, and I do have a full-time job in healthcare, so it's kind of hard sometimes because I work night shift.
Yeah.
But ideally, I would like to, once I start getting more gigs, go full-time with modeling.
Yeah.
And so and get into more acting. So it's kind of that balance of trying to balance me working full-time and going to auditions. So it's kind of hard to because I still have to pay bills somehow. But if I'm not getting paid to walk but get the experience, like, which one do I give into? The one that every 2 weeks, or ones that gets me experiences? That's another hard thing a lot of new models struggle with, is I'm having to invest all this money in to get exposure, but I'm not really getting anything out of it and not getting paid. So that's, I guess, don't get discouraged, is what I would say to new models.
Right.
It takes time.
Did you have any expectations of that end of it going in before, or did somebody tell you, like, you're not going to get paid much going into this? Or
I really had no experience. Like, all the models I knew were local to this area and hadn't really done bigger shows, and so it wasn't until after I went to New York this past February that I was able to kind of network with other people and start talking to people that have been in the modeling industry for a lot longer. They're like, yeah, you're going to have to invest in yourself first before you start. And I'm like, why do I have to put all this money in? Like, they should just naturally want to pay me, but people are not going to want to pay you if you don't have the experience. So that was a hard thing to ingest, just because I'm like, I'm not making any money. And so you got to start somewhere.
But it's not quite like you're, if you go in for healthcare education, like, you're pretty well guaranteed a job somewhere, right? Where this, you could put a lot into it, and there's really no guarantees with it either, right?
Yeah.
So
it goes back to you can apply for multiple auditions and maybe only get one callback. So you just have to be confident in yourself and not let those no's get to, like I've applied to other agencies and I have gotten turned down just because maybe I'm not tall enough. May not be a certain look they're looking for. Their roster. So I still have to learn because I like to feel accepted. And so when I don't get accepted, I'm like upset because I've worked so hard to get to where I'm at. And so, but I have come a long ways with that, of being okay with getting rejected because I know there's a new door can open up.
Yeah, no, that's good wisdom and something you kind of pick up along the way, but it's definitely something that's hard to accept that early on too. So it's good to hear that it does come around again too, right? So anything that you've noticed that people should be cautious of as you're embarking on the modeling career?
I would say look out for the scams. There are
so many
people
scams
that impersonate being like a talent scout or like they might be, but because we live in a generation that is all tech savvy. Like there's these agencies that are claiming to be agency. And so from what I've learned and what I've talked to people about that are in the industry, just figure out what are the scams and what. Don't fall for the ones that, and then you're like, well, I just invested all this money. And then so that would be my thing, is be very cautious when a person reaches out to you to look for a mistake. Google, like if they say they're with Ford Modeling, go on their website to see if they're actually a part of the agency. Look at their address. Sometimes you can tell from their address whether or not they're really associated. So that would be my one advice is don't always fall for everything you see because not all of them are legit.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Definitely something that I think, like you say, with the tech stuff is getting maybe worse and worse all the time because there's always somebody trying to do something, pull something wool over everybody else's eyes, right? So any tips on staying safe when you're shooting? That's kind of an interesting perspective, knowing that you're a photographer as well.
I would always say bring someone with you. I'm just turned 28. I always have someone with me. I always bring my other half with me, like whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, parents, always have someone with you, like, because you never know. Like I luckily work with a lot of photographers already, so it's very rare that I shoot with someone that I don't know. And so even I'm shooting with people now, I always have backup because it helps protect me. And so say if a photographer does something, I can at least have another witness with me. And the other thing is like, be confident. If a photographer tells you that you're something that you're not comfortable, be willing to say, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Just because it's sometimes photographers, they have models that are okay with it and not. So you kind of have to be able to set boundaries with the photographers beforehand. It's nice to have someone with you to kind of help back you up saying, hey, I don't like how you're posing or this. And so know who you are, know what you stand for, and make sure you always have someone with you at all times.
Good advice. Yeah, absolutely. No, sometimes it's one, especially if something like a TFP or an early connection with a shoot. Like if they're not comfortable with you having somebody with them, and that's kind of like a red flag there too, right? So but that's good. Shifting gears a little bit, what's something people don't know about Micayla? Maybe they don't know that you're in healthcare, but they also may see you on a camera and they may wonder about what goes on behind the scenes.
I am, even though I'm very extroverted, when it comes to really being in front of the camera, I'm still camera shy. Like I'm still working on my confidence. And so I fake it till I make it, basically is what the saying is. I fake that I'm confident, but sometimes like, do I really got this? Just because I am still fairly new to the industry.
Sure.
But that's one thing about me is I might be all outgoing everywhere, act like I have my act together, but secretly inside, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know what's going on, but
why am I here?
I know. Yeah, so.
Anything you've done to kind of combat that or found that help? Because that's kind of an imposter syndrome sort of feeling, right? But
so I do daily affirmations, and so I look at myself in the mirror saying, regardless of what the world tells you. Because, like I said, we live in a technology-savvy industry. And so I think that's part of my problem is of not feeling comfortable in front of the camera because I compare myself. I have to get out of my head. I tell myself, they're not you.
Right.
That's not Micayla. You're you. You're Ben. What you do and what you're good at is not what I'm good at.
That's right.
So if we were all the same, it would be a boring world. Like it would not be a fun world. So be okay with being uncomfortable. Like you have to be comfortable with yourself. Don't compare yourself. Don't look at, that girl has 6,000 followers and has because that's just going to make my confidence go. And that's my thing is growing up, I was always comparing myself. Well, I can't do modeling because I'm not pretty. I'm not tall enough. I don't have the confidence. I don't have the pretty long hair. I'm more on the muscular side. So I was like, I can't do the high fashion because I'm a track star. I have more muscle mass in me. So I'm not the right size. So I've had to learn to do daily affirmations, tell myself, look myself in the mirror. You got this, Micayla. You're beautiful just as you are. Do not let anyone else tell you that. Like, if you don't get a gig because you may not be the right fit, there will be another one where they're looking for a fit track athlete.
Right.
And I'll be like, so that's the thing is do your daily affirmations. Surround yourself with positive people, because if you surround yourself with negative people that said, oh, you're not going to make it, that is negative towards you. You feed off that. So you got to surround yourself with like-minded people that are going to support you and tell you you're beautiful. You got this. And so that's my key, is making sure you're doing something. Also, I meditate and pray. Like, that's my thing, is I pray saying, hey, God, I'm stressing. Like, I was stressed about this fashion show just because it's a different environment. Like, it's not with people. I only know one of the girl, and that's who I'm walking for. So I was like, how am I going to compare to other people? And then I saw another model I looked up to just signed up to join. So I'm like, she's been at all these things and so I've had to tell myself on the right here, do not compare yourself, because that's going to affect how you walk, how people perceive you, because talent can tell when you're confident by how you walk. So
true that.
You can't just let that get you. You own the stage, tell yourself you're beautiful, you're handsome, and have confidence in yourself. And just you can do sticky notes. You can put sticky notes with your affirmations, set goals for yourself if you want. So that's what I would recommend. Is
how did you discover the affirmation piece?
I'm religious myself, and so I have always been told people are in different paths of their lives, and so I have always learned through mentorships, even in sports. Coaches have always told me your body type, where you're at, is different from someone else. You have to be okay with yourself. Talk to yourself. And so I was able to get it from coaches. I was able to get it from teachers, because teachers could tell. My mama was a teacher, so I was always on the upper hand. Oh, well, her mom is a teacher. She gets it easy. And so I had to learn how to cope with all that, being in a religious family and making myself feel like confident in myself, because I was always dumb, because I was usually the teacher's pet and could get away with things. And so I had to put in my mindset of, how do I get myself out of this rut of knowing it's okay to be different. It's okay. You're the teacher's pet. So I just naturally had coaches and people in my life to say, you need to figure something out, whether it's meditation. So they drilled that into me of having positive affirmations and do those and read them off and tell you every day. Because if you are negative all the time, you're not going to get anywhere, in my opinion.
Right. That's good. No, that's really important. And interesting how some of those things as a kid, maybe you forget about them for a while, that we drift away from that thought, that we kind of come back to it at some point too, right? So so valuable in our foundation. So I'm not sure how much you want to dive into, because you've definitely shared a lot of good details, but the mental health piece is something we like to talk about with people a lot. And just curious, beyond what you've shared, or if there's maybe more in depth there that you wanted to go, what about the mental health piece for Micayla in your life, and being a model and stuff like that? That's all a lot of pressure sometimes. So another fun fact about me is I was actually adopted, and so I grew up with my little sister were, and so I was angry for the longest amount of time, because I felt like I wasn't accepted and was in a depression life, because my dad was in the picture, and so I was given up for adoption. Luckily, my first grade teacher was able to adopt me, and so I was just frustrated, with my with life in general. Lots of questions.
A lot of questions. Why good things happen? Like, why do bad things happen to good people? And so I was just irritated. Even from an early age, I had ADD, and so I went into a depression phase. Like, I come in and out. So I have had to get counseling to learn how to deal with trauma, because when you're 7 and you lose your mom and your dad's not in the picture, and you come from a family where your mom's great to you, but maybe your stepdad might be abusive. Like, how do you cope with that the first 7 years of your life? So when I got adopted, I had to go through a lot of intensive therapy to know not every family's like that.
Right.
And so it was hard for me for the longest amount of time to be okay with going to therapy and getting medication. It just helps me to be okay with society and not do something crazy.
Right.
And so I think it's okay to ask for help. Like, that's the key, is if you are in a funk, please reach out to someone, whether it's me or like if you're not comfortable reaching out to family. Find someone you can rely on, that you can trust, that they know if something were to happen, that they can reach out and get the professional help. I'm not no professional therapist, but I always wanted someone to sit and listen to me that was outside of my family. So I've gone to a licensed therapist. I have gotten counseling of how to handle, like I have bipolar disorder. So my modes are crazy. How do I handle that? I'm in healthcare. Sometimes patients get on my nerves. How do I handle not going off on the patients? How do I, and so I've had to go to counseling to figure out if someone makes me like, I used to be the type of person that used to be a people pleaser. I want to please everyone. But in the reality, you can't. And so, or also because I had trauma in the past growing up, if someone were to raise their voice with me, how do I get myself out of that flight or fight response of immediately wanting to shut off and cry? And so I would highly suggest, models, if you're experiencing any depression, any suicidal thoughts, like ask for help. That's the key, but also it's up to you to want to help.
That's right.
You can't have family to push you into it. I was lucky enough to be surrounded by my adopted parents. I call them my family because they've raised me a lot longer and have raised me to who I am today. I was afraid, but eventually I was able to open up and be able to talk and surround yourself with people like they're there to be in your corner. And so have people that know and can recognize your trigger points. That's the other thing, is make sure you know what your trigger ones are. So if you see something like that, you are able to step away. With me, if I see a trigger come on, I have to step away and breathe for a little bit, go drive. That's fitness for me was a big thing, is I go run to clear my mind. That's my thing of dealing with all my crazy issues I got going on. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. And so I personally have struggled with it. But by me getting dressed up, feeling and getting published, it makes me feel good. Like I've come somewhere. Like I struggle with depression. I struggle with ADD. I struggle with comparing myself. And it's hard not to compare yourself to people with technology nowadays, and not listening to the world nowadays saying you have to look, dress a certain way in movies. You got to have the $1 million car. So I seek out help is all I can really say. Is I personally have experienced it. I have my little sister that has experienced health issues. So it hits home when you have your experience yourself and then you have a family member or loved ones or friend that are going through it. And it's hard for the people. And I've seen enough people that have had mental health issues that don't seek out help.
That's right.
And they lose their life, and it affects the whole entire family. Yeah. So I don't want to put my family or my loved ones in that situation of feeling like if I do this, I can get out of feeling like this. That's just what you're feeling during that time is just a temporary feeling. But if you go and bring something else in, like overdose or something like that, permanent. So that's why you need to drill in your head is you go through seasonal depression. You can't be like, oh, it's in the world, it's not going to get better. So like that's my key, is just know that everything's going to be okay. You can't act on those situations and think, oh, I'm in a rut. No one wants to help. It's going to be like this the rest of the time. It's not. You have it's a roller coaster. Life's a roller coaster. You can't just be stupid and think, oh, by doing this, it's going to relieve everything. Because then you got to think of family and how that affects everyone else in your life.
That's right. That's a good thing to mention. And I know sometimes I think it seems a little bit insensitive because you're like, the person's like, I'm going through this. Just leave me alone to do my thing. But it's like, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people. If you make a choice like that, and I mean, I hope people are reaching out if they are feeling that way. But I mean, there's a lot of people that you affect too, right? And you make their lives a lot harder in the long run too when you make those choices, right? So
yeah, and it happens to everyone. Like I was able to locally get adopted into a good family. Came from a Christian home. My parents gave me everything I wanted. Yeah. But it's just me of being like, oh, she's got this, or she made it to state, and so it's kind of just, how do I handle her? Oh, well, you didn't do well in school. And so it's just more of parents and people realizing not to be so harsh. And it's just hard sometimes. But help, reach out. I know it can be hard, but make sure you reach out and have the support you need.
Yep. Dig into those feelings or people even saying things that seem kind of as a joke. I mean, sometimes there's more going on to that for them to be saying that than you think too, right? So
yeah. Because you never know who's going through it. So if it's just walking down the hallway, like I could walk down the hotel hallway just by simply saying hi, that might make a difference. So
yeah,
you have
totally.
to be
Small things.
aware of your surroundings. If I see someone out in the streets when I'm driving, I'll kind of wait, because you never know what people are going through. Or if you're at the grocery stores and you see a little old lady needing help, go up and load her groceries in her car for her. So that can make it. So you never know what people are going through. Like they from the outside might see, oh, they have the perfect life, but in healthcare, I see it, especially with people with mental health issues.
Yes.
They come from a variety of range of people, the richest of the richest to the lowest of lows. So you never know who you come in contact with that might be struggling until something happens to them. Like I never saw the red flags. So being able to recognize the red flags is key too.
Yep. Absolutely. What would be, if somebody's questioning this right now, what would be the first thing you'd tell them to do for themselves to get out of that funk or whatever?
I would say reach out. For me, it would be reach out. Whether it's to me, to you, I would say reach out to someone and just be able, or someone that you can listen to. I know a lot of people, there's all these hotlines you can call, but I say reach out to someone at least that you can sit and talk to, and or find something that helps you feel better and kind of be able to breathe. I don't know if people are religious, meditate. Find something that helps you
move forward,
get out of the funk. It's better to tell one person than not say anything to someone.
That's right. Yeah, 100%. No, that's very good. And then certainly you can see that that's been things that you've dealt with. And so you've certainly got some good points to share. And I think that'll be taken to heart by a lot of people, Micayla. So thank you. What about some big dreams and challenges and things that you'd like to see go on for yourself in the next couple of years going forward?
I would love to eventually get signed with like a big agency in New York, whether it's any of those big, and I want to be able to go full time with modeling and be able to make an impact and advocate for mental health, because I personally dealt with it. I've had friends and family dealt with it. So I want to be able to make impact and say, hey, you're not alone. The most prettiest of the prettiest might have struggles. So that's my goal, is to be able to network and be able to get a big agency spot and be able to be an advocate for people that are struggling with mental health. So that's my goal. And you just gotta work and network with people to get there. So that one of my big dreams is, and then to be able to collaborate with other big time models and have a big support group of people that can support each other, whether it's your family or not. You can have a big support group. That's how we met, is a support group. I created a support group on Instagram, and being able to share each other's posts and be able to talk of what you do, if you like, because all of us are on the exact same boat with the modeling industry of and acting. Like, what agency do y'all use, or is this a scam? So being able to have a community and being able to help each other out, like we shouldn't be able. I get we're all competing for jobs, but also be supportive of each other. And someone lands a gig that you tried out for, be like, congratulations, thumbs up, I'm so proud of you. Like, that he is. We need to be more integrated and be a team and help each other out. So that's my goal, is to be able to form the industry more, I guess, with being uniformed, with helping people out and not seeing each other as competition, and which as competition, that can lead to mental health of, oh, well, she's better than me because she got that gig. And I think we need to be more open and be willing to support each other and not fight each other over a job or diss someone. Oh, they got that because they did all these other things to get that job. So I think that's kind of how you need to go about and support each other and go about that way. So
that's right. I like that a lot. It's not just a passion, but it's purpose behind it too, right? And I think that really moves people forward when it gets to be just a personal ambition. This makes me feel good, and that's important. But if there's no backing behind that, or no impact that you want to make with it, it fades, right? And when you see other people and you get to support them, that's a worthy cause. So
it's always fun to support each other and see each other's goals they have and they have achieved, because we're all in different life points. Like, you might want to be a high-end fashion model, or I might want to be a product model, of somebody that uses products and modeling. So we just all need to be supportive, show support, because you never know by us collaborating with each other, supporting each other. If you see a gig that you can't attend, you can be like, hey, Micayla, they're doing a casting over here. Do you think you can make it? So I think that's cool that you can all network together and be a good support team, because really sometimes your other half family can't always be on set sometimes for gigs. So it's nice to be able to have a group of friends, family that you can all work together, like, hey, can y'all approve of this audition? So I think that's key is being supportive and engaging with each other.
Well said. No, I like that a lot. Good points, and definitely things for people that are looking to get into this to consider as well, right? To work with others. That's a good mission to be on. How do people follow and kind of connect with Micayla, whether it's online or
So
whatever?
I mainly use my Instagram, which is ITZ_thing Micayla Moody.
Cool.
So you can, all my modeling stuff, you have my Instagram. So Instagram is where I do all my modeling stuff. You can find me on Facebook, but that's more of my like everyday life of what you see. And so that's why I have two separate things, one for businesses purposes and one for personal life every day. So it's more separate than having to, oh, she's out here at 2:00 in the morning just having fun. And the next day I posted me being in Nashville like that. So that's why I have
Where's the middle? Yeah.
So that's another advice is have your personal Instagram or whatever social platform you use, have a personal one and have a professional one. So because when industry people look, they want to look at whatever social media platform you have. And so also even on your personal, be very kind of mindful of that because they might go to your Facebook and, oh, well, she was out till 2 partying, drinking, and then so it kind of be mindful regardless of what you post of being mindful of agencies do look at your social media. So just be smart about it.
Yep. No, for sure. And everything on the internet's forever, right? So as much as you can.
Even though like Snapchat says it's delete.
There's
still ways to get into it.
Always. It's good. When it does happen, and I like to spin it that way because I think you're on good track for good things, Micayla, but when it does happen and Instagram blows up and you've got all kinds of followers that you never thought you'd have before, what would be one big message you want to throw out there to all those people that find you now?
I would say I'm going to restart.
No, good.
I think I'm going to stay true to myself. I'm not going to let the fame get to my head. I'm going to still stay true to what I am because I know people can get fame in their head of, oh, I got all this money.
Yeah.
Always make my dream and hope is when I do become big and famous, I don't change my personality. I remember the people that have supported me and not just leave them in the corner and be like, oh, I don't need you. I make more money. And so I want to make sure my standard morals I have now, I consistently, even if I become the next Halle Berry, I've been told I look like Halle Berry. I want to stay true to who I am and not let the fame get in my head and me be an airhead of I'm better than you kind of person. Like that's just,
I like that.
And so because I think industry, you have all these people that, fame gets to them and they dish all the people that supported them, help them get there. So I want to stay loyal to all my friends and family that have helped me get to there. And be very supportive. I'll be very interactive with everyone that has gotten me there. I'll support other you were to DM me, asking me questions, I'll still reach out to you. No matter how big I get, I still want to help other aspiring models, actors get to where I was at because I start where they were at. So I don't mind helping and giving advice to other people when I can.
Yeah, totally. No, that's well said and good advice and definitely a good strategy to take when things are blowing up for you. So well said. Other than that, we do appreciate you coming on, Micayla, and giving us some time in your busy fashion show weekend. And all the best to you this weekend as you're busy walking on the runway. And we look forward to seeing that. But thanks for coming on and talking tonight. So
thank you for having me. It was a great opportunity.
Absolutely. No, look forward to chatting down the road somewhere. So.